Have you ever wondered how the sweet indulgence of a dessert fuels your body's energy needs? Well, it's all thanks to the marvel of carbohydrate metabolism, the essential process that powers life itself. You see, every single cell in our bodies relies on this complex system to convert the food we eat into energy. Carbohydrate metabolism is like a well-oiled machine. It's a series of biochemical processes that break down carbohydrates, like that slice of cake you just couldn't resist, into simple units of energy. This process is divided into several stages. We have glycolysis, the citric acid cycle, gluconeogenesis, glycogenesis, glycogenolysis, the pentose phosphate pathway, and the metabolism of galactose and fructose. Each of these stages plays a vital role in ensuring that your body has the energy it needs to function optimally, whether you're running a marathon or simply binge-watching your favorite show. Stay tuned as we delve into the intricate steps of carbohydrate metabolism. Glycolysis, the first step in carbohydrate metabolism, is a process that breaks down glucose into a more usable form. Now let's dive into the fascinating world of glycolysis. Picture a glucose molecule, a simple sugar that serves as the primary fuel for our bodies. This molecule embarks on a metabolic journey known as glycolysis. The end product? 2 molecules of pyruvate, a compound that's ready to enter the citric acid cycle for further breakdown. The glycolysis process is a series of 10 chemical reactions, each facilitated by a unique enzyme. The first 5 steps comprise the preparatory phase. Here, a glucose molecule is converted into 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, a process consuming 2 ATP molecules. It's like priming a pump, a little investment for a bigger return. The next 5 steps, the payoff phase, is where the magic happens. The glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate molecules are converted into pyruvate. In this process, 4 ATP molecules and 2 NADH molecules are produced. This means a net gain of 2 ATP molecules and 2 NADH molecules for each glucose molecule that undergoes glycolysis. Key enzymes like hexokinase, phosphofructokinase, and pyruvate kinase play pivotal roles in glycolysis. Hexokinase, for instance, kickstarts the process by adding a phosphate group to glucose, trapping it inside the cell. Phosphofructokinase, on the other hand, is the main regulatory enzyme for glycolysis, controlling the rate of glucose breakdown. A fascinating aspect of glycolysis is its ability to occur with or without oxygen. In the presence of oxygen, pyruvate enters the citric acid cycle for further breakdown. But when oxygen is scarce, like during intense exercise, pyruvate is converted to lactate to regenerate NAD+, allowing glycolysis to continue producing ATP. So glycolysis is not just about breaking down glucose. It's a finely tuned process that balances energy production with the body's needs. And it's happening right now inside your cells, keeping you going. Now we've broken down glucose, but what happens next? Stay tuned as we venture further into the enigmatic world of carbohydrate metabolism. The citric acid cycle, also known as Krebs cycle, is where most of the magic happens. It's the central hub of metabolic activity, the powerhouse where the energy of life is produced. So, let's break it down. The cycle begins when the pyruvate generated from glycolysis is transported into the mitochondria, the cell's energy factory. Here, it's converted into an energy-rich molecule called acetyl-CoA, which enters the citric acid cycle. The citric acid cycle is a series of chemical reactions that harnesses the energy stored in acetyl-CoA. Each turn of the cycle extracts this energy, producing adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, the currency of energy in the cell. Additionally, the cycle generates high-energy molecules, NADH and Fad2, which carry electrons to the electron transport chain for further energy production. But it's not all about energy. The cycle also releases carbon dioxide as a byproduct, which we breathe out. It's a testament to how efficiently our cells extract energy from the food we eat. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The citric acid cycle isn't just about energy production. It's also about balance. It's amphibolic, meaning it plays a dual role in both the breakdown and synthesis of molecules. On the breakdown side, the cycle is catabolic, dismantling acetyl-CoA to extract its energy. But it's also anabolic, building larger molecules from smaller ones. Some of the intermediates produced during the cycle are used as building blocks for synthesizing amino acids, fatty acids, and nucleotides. So, the citric acid cycle is a bit like a busy factory, constantly churning out energy and raw materials for the cell. It's a beautiful, complex dance of chemistry that keeps us alive and kicking. But remember, the citric acid cycle is a powerhouse, but it's not the only player in carbohydrate metabolism. There are other fascinating pathways to explore, as we'll see in the next part of our journey through the wonderful world of metabolism. So stay tuned. What happens when our bodies run out of glucose? Enter Gluconeogenesis and Cori's cycle. So let's imagine, your body's glucose stores are running low, but you still need to function. What does your body do? It turns to a process called gluconeogenesis. This is a metabolic pathway that results in the generation of glucose from non-carbohydrate carbon substrates. Amazing, isn't it? The primary substrates for gluconeogenesis are lactate, glycerol, and the amino acids alanine and glutamine. And where do we get these from? Lactate is produced during strenuous exercise, glycerol is derived from the breakdown of fat, and amino acids come from protein metabolism. The process of gluconeogenesis takes place primarily in your liver and, to a lesser extent, in the cortex of kidneys. This is a complex process involving several enzymatic reactions, but in essence, it's the reverse of glycolysis with a few twists and turns to bypass the irreversible steps of glycolysis. Now let's turn our attention to Cori's cycle. Named after the Nobel laureates Carl Ferdinand Cori and his wife Gertie Cori, this cycle represents a perfect example of the collaboration between our muscles and liver. During strenuous exercise, our muscles produce lactate via anaerobic respiration. Now, instead of letting this lactate go to waste, our body recycles it. The lactate is transported to the liver where it gets converted back into glucose through gluconeogenesis. This freshly synthesized glucose can then be sent back to the muscles to fuel continued activity. In essence, Cori's cycle is an elegant system that allows our bodies to recycle lactate produced during exercise back into glucose. It's the perfect example of the body's commitment to efficiency and resourcefulness. And there you have it. When glucose stores are running low, your body doesn't panic. Instead, it calmly turns to gluconeogenesis and Cori's cycle, ensuring you have the energy you need to keep going. These processes ensure our bodies never run out of fuel. When it comes to energy, our bodies are all about balance. That's where glycogenesis and glycogenolysis come into play. Picture your body as a city that never sleeps. The city's power plant, the liver, has to ensure a constant energy supply. During periods of abundance, when we eat a lot, glucose levels rise. The liver's response is to store this extra glucose in a process known as glycogenesis. Think of glycogenesis as a sophisticated energy-saving scheme. The liver converts glucose into glycogen, a multi-branched polysaccharide, which serves as a form of energy storage that can be quickly mobilized when needed. It's like a rainy day fund for your body, ensuring you have a backup source of energy when supplies run low. But what happens when the city demands more power? When you're exercising, for example, or haven't eaten in a while? That's when glycogenolysis comes to the rescue. Glycogenolysis is the reverse of glycogenesis. It's like breaking open that rainy day fund. The liver breaks down glycogen back into glucose, which is released into the bloodstream to meet the energy demand. So, glycogenesis and glycogenolysis are two sides of the same coin, working together to keep our blood sugar levels stable. They ensure that our bodies have enough energy to function, whether we're running a marathon or just chilling on the couch. These processes help maintain our blood sugar levels. Not all carbohydrates are glucose. Let's explore how our bodies handle galactose and fructose. The pentose phosphate pathway, also known as the phosphogluconate pathway, is a metabolic pathway parallel to glycolysis. It plays a key role in cellular biosynthesis, generating NADPH and ribose sugars, which are crucial for nucleotide synthesis and certain amino acids. Unlike glycolysis, the pentose phosphate pathway does not directly yield ATP. Instead, it focuses on the production of the reducing agent NADPH. Two distinct phases characterize the pathway. The oxidative phase, where glucose 6-phosphate is oxidized to produce NADPH, and the non-oxidative phase, where 5-carbon sugars like ribose 5-phosphate are formed. Now let's talk about galactose and fructose. Galactose is prominent in dairy products. When it enters our body, an enzyme called Galactokinase converts it to galactose 1-phosphate. This molecule is then transformed into glucose 1-phosphate, which can be used in the glycolysis pathway or for glycogen synthesis. Fructose, on the other hand, is a major component of sweet fruits and honey. It is metabolized slightly differently. Fructokinase converts it to fructose 1-phosphate, which is then split into dihydroxyacetone phosphate and glyceraldehyde. These can enter the glycolysis pathway directly. These side pathways ensure that all types of carbohydrates can fuel our bodies. It's a remarkable system, isn't it? It's like a vast network of highways, each leading to the same destination: the generation of energy for our bodies. These pathways are our body's way of saying, no matter the source, we'll find a way to use it. These side pathways ensure that all types of carbohydrates can fuel our bodies. Carbohydrate metabolism is a complex but fascinating process. We've journeyed through the intricate pathways of energy production, starting with glycolysis, the first step in breaking down glucose, our body's primary source of energy. Then we explored the citric acid cycle, nature's own power plant, where glucose is fully oxidized to produce ATP. We uncovered the amphibolic nature of the citric acid cycle, highlighting its dual role in both catabolism and anabolism. We ventured into the realm of Gluconeogenesis and Cori's cycle, where our bodies ingeniously create glucose from non-carbohydrate sources. We've also delved into the processes of glycogenesis and glycogenolysis, exploring how our bodies store and mobilize glucose for energy. Finally, we learned about the pentose phosphate pathway and the metabolism of other sugars like galactose and fructose. These complex processes underline the marvel of human biochemistry and remind us just how intricate and delicate our bodies truly are. Subscribe for more because you won't find me later.